At just 20 years old, Grace Kim was filled with dreams of becoming a celebrated actress. Growing up in a bustling city, she had always found joy in performing. From school plays to community theater, Grace had practiced her craft tirelessly. Her room was adorned with posters of famous actors and shimmering lights that reminded her of the stage. The world of acting was where she felt most alive, but it was also where nerves often took hold. As she stepped into the dimly lit theater on the night of her first small role, excitement bubbled within her. She could imagine the audience's warm applause and the thrill of reciting her lines perfectly. Yet, shadows of anxiety crept in, whispering doubts about her talent. Grace tried to shake off the gnawing worry, reminding herself that every great actor started somewhere. But as the curtain rose and bright lights flooded the stage, her heart raced beyond control. When it was finally her moment to speak, her mind went blank. For a painful moment, all she could hear was silence, and panic washed over her. The familiar lines she had rehearsed vanished like smoke in the air. In a whirlwind of embarrassment and confusion, Grace fled from the stage, tears streaming down her face. Backstage, overwhelmed by disappointment and self-doubt, she sank down in a corner, lost in her thoughts. Little did she know that an unexpected encounter awaited her that would change everything. The day of Grace's first performance dawned bright and full of promise. She woke up early, butterflies fluttering in her stomach as she prepared for the big moment. The smell of coffee wafted through the air, but all she could focus on was the role she had rehearsed for weeks. Grace dressed carefully, choosing a simple yet elegant outfit that made her feel confident. As she looked in the mirror, she whispered words of encouragement to herself, hoping to chase away the nerves that threatened to creep in. Arriving at the theater, the excitement buzzed around her like static electricity. Actors were bustling about, warming up and chatting animatedly, while stagehands set up props and lights. Grace took a deep breath, inhaling the familiar scent of paint and wood backstage. It felt magical, like stepping into a world where dreams came true. She could almost hear the applause ringing in her ears as she envisioned herself performing flawlessly. As curtain time drew closer, Grace's heart began to race. She watched her fellow actors practice their lines with ease and confidence. Doubt started to sneak in. What if she forgot everything? What if the audience didn't like her? Shaking off these thoughts, she reminded herself of all the hard work she put into this moment. With each passing minute, excitement mixed with anxiety until they became a whirlwind inside her. When it was time to step onto the stage, Grace felt a rush of adrenaline. This was her chance to shine, to prove that she belonged there among the lights and cheers. Little did she know how quickly it would all change once the curtain rose. As the curtain rose, Grace stepped into the spotlight, her heart pounding like a drum. The bright lights blinded her momentarily, but she could see the audience's faces, half excited and half uncertain. She took a deep breath and began her lines, her voice slightly shaky but filled with hope. For a brief moment, it felt as if everything she had worked for was finally within reach. However, just as she delivered her first few lines, panic struck. Her mind suddenly went blank, as if a thick fog had rolled in. The words she had rehearsed so many times slipped away like grains of sand through her fingers. Grace looked out into the audience, searching desperately for familiarity, but all she could see were strangers waiting for her to continue. An awkward silence filled the air as she stood frozen on stage, confusion and embarrassment flooding through her. Her heart raced faster, and sweat trickled down her brow. She tried to remember the next line but found only silence echoing in her mind. The audience shifted uncomfortably in their seats, and she felt their eyes piercing through her. In that moment of despair, Grace's cheeks flushed with heat. She felt like she was shrinking under the weight of their gaze. Humiliation washed over her like a cold wave, and tears threatened to spill down her cheeks. Unable to bear the pressure anymore, she turned on her heels and fled off stage, feeling as though the weight of failure crashed down upon her shoulders. As she dashed into the safety of the backstage area, her heart ached with disappointment and self-doubt, unaware that something extraordinary awaited her just moments later. As Grace bolted off the stage, tears streamed down her face, and her heart felt like it was shattering into pieces. The bright lights that had once filled her with excitement now felt like an unbearable spotlight on her failure. Every step she took away from the stage echoed the crushing weight of her disappointment. How could she have forgotten her lines? All those hours spent rehearsing felt wasted in an instant. Backstage, she stumbled into a dim corner, feeling as if the walls were closing in around her. The joyful sounds of applause and chatter faded into distant noise, replaced by the haunting whispers of doubt in her mind. "You're not good enough," they taunted. "You'll never make it as an actress." Each thought pierced her heart like a thorn, deepening her sense of despair. Grace sank to the floor, wrapping her arms around her knees, trying to catch her breath. The world around her faded as she lost herself in a whirlwind of self-criticism. Images of her family and friends flashed through her mind, their proud faces now tainted by her perceived failure. She felt utterly alone, as if she had let everyone down, including herself. The tears flowed freely, each one a testament to her shattered dreams and fear of never achieving what she loved most. In that moment of vulnerability, Grace wished for encouragement, or a sign that it was okay to fail sometimes. Yet, all she felt was the overwhelming weight of shame and the terrifying thought that maybe acting wasn't meant for her after all. She sat there in the darkness, desperately longing for relief from the storm brewing inside her. As Grace sat in the dark corner backstage, her body shook with silent sobs. The sounds of laughter and applause from the audience felt like a distant echo, a reminder of the moment she wished she could erase. Just then, she heard footsteps approaching. The sound was soft yet steady, cutting through her haze of despair. Turning to see who it was, Grace's breath caught in her throat. To her astonishment, Marilyn Monroe appeared, radiant as ever, with her iconic blonde curls framing her face. Grace's heart raced, not just from surprise but from the surrealness of seeing a Hollywood legend right before her eyes. Marilyn held a bouquet of white roses that seemed to glow under the stage lights. "Hey there," Marilyn said gently, kneeling to meet Grace's gaze. The warmth in her voice wrapped around Grace like a comforting blanket. "I saw what happened out there, and I just wanted to tell you something." Grace could barely find her voice as she stared at the flowers. What could she possibly say to someone so famous? Her emotions fluctuated between joy and fear, but she remained silent. Marilyn handed Grace the delicate bouquet along with a handwritten note and smiled softly. "Keep going," she said simply, her words full of encouragement. In that moment, something shifted inside Grace. It was as if a small light flickered on in the darkness that surrounded her heart. The sadness she felt began to lift just a little, giving way to hope, a feeling she hadn't experienced since fleeing the stage. Perhaps this unexpected encounter was the change she needed to reignite her passion for acting and remind her that setbacks are part of the journey. As the backstage atmosphere buzzed with the aftermath of the performance, a sudden hush fell over the space like a gentle wave. The air shifted, tinged with an electric anticipation that made everyone pause. Then, from the shadows emerged Marilyn Monroe, her presence instantly commanding attention. Clad in a stunning dress that shimmered softly under the dim lights, she walked with an effortless grace that seemed to ripple through the room. Her iconic blonde curls bounced lightly with each step, framing her face in a way that made her look enchanting yet approachable. The aura she brought was both captivating and comforting. It was as if time slowed down around her. Crew members and fellow actors alike turned their heads, their conversations fading into whispers of disbelief. "Is that really her?" one voice asked, eyes wide with admiration. Marilyn moved effortlessly through the throng of people, her smile bright and genuine. In one hand she held a bouquet of white roses that seemed to glow against her glimmering outfit. The fragrance wafted through the air like a promise of hope and beauty. Grace's heart raced at the sight of her idol. She felt both starstruck and anxious, unsure whether this moment was real. The atmosphere lightened as Marilyn approached Grace's corner with warmth radiating from her. She knelt down to meet Grace's gaze, making it seem like they were the only two people in the world at that moment. It was as if Marilyn's very presence was meant to soothe Grace's heartache and remind her that even in moments of failure, kindness and encouragement could be found in unexpected places. This wasn't just an encounter. It was about to become a turning point in Grace's life. As Marilyn knelt in front of Grace, the world around them seemed to fade away. Grace's eyes widened in disbelief as she took in the bouquet of white roses cradled delicately in Marilyn's hands. The flowers were stunning, their pristine petals glistening like small treasures under the muted theater lights. Each rose was a symbol of hope, and despite her tear-streaked cheeks, Grace felt a flicker of something warm inside her. With gentle hands, Marilyn extended the bouquet toward Grace. "These are for you," she said softly, her voice soothing like a gentle breeze. The gesture felt surreal. How could someone so famous and beloved think of her in such an intimate moment? Grace hesitated for a heartbeat, completely awestruck. Could it be true that Marilyn Monroe was offering her encouragement in the aftermath of her failure? As she accepted the flowers, their sweet fragrance filled her senses, reminding her of fresh beginnings and brighter days ahead. It felt as though each rose whispered a message. "You are not alone, keep striving. And believe in yourself." Grace's fingers grazed the soft petals as she held them close to her heart. Tears threatened to spill again, but this time they were not solely from sadness. They were mixed with gratitude and awe. She looked up at Marilyn, who smiled reassuringly back at her. In that moment, the weight of her embarrassment began to lift slightly. The roses symbolized more than just beauty. They represented hope and resilience. Receiving this small yet powerful gift from a legend sparked a new thought within Grace. Maybe she could rise from this setback and continue chasing her dreams after all. As Grace held the bouquet of white roses, she noticed a small piece of paper tucked within the flowers. Her heart raced with curiosity as she carefully pulled out the handwritten note. It was written in elegant, flowing script that felt both personal and intimate, a reminder that this moment was meant just for her. The note simply read, "Keep going." Those two words hung in the air like a gentle promise. At first glance, they seemed so simple, yet their significance struck deep within Grace's heart. It was as if Marilyn had reached into her soul and understood exactly what she needed to hear at that very moment. Grace felt an overwhelming wave of warmth wash over her. The sting of embarrassment began to fade as these encouraging words took root in her mind. In just a few short syllables, Marilyn had managed to offer Grace not only compassion but also hope, a reminder that every actor faces struggles and setbacks along their journey. The message resonated with Grace on a profound level. It was more than just encouragement. It felt like a lifeline thrown to her in the midst of turbulent waters. With each word echoing in her thoughts, she found herself reflecting on all the hard work she had put into pursuing her dream and realizing that one stumble did not define her potential. As she reread the note, Grace felt a flicker of determination ignite inside her. Inspired by Marilyn's kindness and support, she realized that perseverance was key. With renewed resolve, Grace promised herself to embrace each challenge ahead and keep pushing forward, no matter how difficult the path might seem. With the bouquet of white roses and the encouraging note nestled close to her heart, Grace felt a transformation beginning to take shape within her. No longer trapped in the spiral of disappointment and self-doubt, she gradually became aware of the small but powerful flame of passion igniting in her spirit. The simple words, "Keep going," were more than a temporary balm for her wounds. They served as a clarion call to continue chasing her dream. Inspired by Marilyn's act of kindness, Grace remembered why she had fallen in love with acting in the first place. The thrill of embodying different characters, the excitement of connecting with an audience, and the joy that came from sharing stories through performance. In that moment, she realized that every actor experiences failure. It's part of the journey towards success. Breathed by slow breath, Grace savored the fragrance of the roses that filled her senses with hope and possibility. She stood back up, brushing off her tears as she steadied herself against the wall. Determined to face her fears head-on, she repeated those two words silently to herself like a mantra. "Keep going." Instead of allowing one setback to define her abilities or discourage her from pursuing her passion, Grace felt revitalized. She envisioned herself on stage again, ready to grab hold of future opportunities with confidence. Each time she encountered challenges, she now knew that there would always be a way forward if she chose to embrace it. This small yet profound moment with Marilyn Monroe became more than just an encounter. It was a turning point in Grace's life, one that reignited her passion for acting and granted her the courage to keep moving forward on the path she had always dreamed of traveling. With the bouquet of roses still in her hands and the note tucked safely in her pocket, Grace felt a newfound strength coursing through her veins. This small act of kindness from Marilyn Monroe had transformed the way she viewed her journey as an actress. No longer would she let one setback define her abilities. Instead, she felt a determination rising within her, a burning desire to keep pushing forward, no matter the obstacles. Grace took a deep breath and embraced this moment of clarity. She knew that each performer faced challenges, but it was how they responded to those challenges that truly mattered. With renewed resolve, she envisioned herself back on stage, not just as a performer but as someone willing to learn and grow from every experience, good or bad. As days passed, Grace committed herself to practice. She signed up for acting classes and sought out new opportunities, refusing to shy away from auditions even when the nerves began to creep back in. Each time she faced a setback, whether forgetting lines or receiving constructive criticism, she recalled Marilyn's words. "Keep going." Those two simple words became her mantra. Grace also began to share her journey with others, inspiring fellow aspiring actors who faced similar struggles. She learned that by supporting one another, they could all rise together. Each performance became an opportunity for growth rather than a test of worth. With every step forward, Grace's confidence blossomed. The girl who once fled in tears now stood tall with her head held high, ready to embrace the stage again. Her dreams glimmered brighter than ever, and she was determined to make them a reality, one performance at a time. Reflecting on that pivotal moment with Marilyn Monroe, Grace realized how profoundly it would shape her journey in the world of acting. The gesture of kindness, a bouquet of white roses and the simple note urging her to keep going, became a touchstone in her life, a reminder that even the most celebrated stars face challenges and doubts. It taught her that setbacks are not signs of failure but rather stepping stones toward growth and self-discovery. With each passing audition and performance, Grace embraced the lessons she learned that night. She understood that every actor experiences moments of uncertainty, but it was the courage to rise again that truly defined success. As she immersed herself in her craft, she found herself not only improving as an actress but also becoming a source of inspiration for others facing similar struggles. Grace's commitment to never give up grew stronger with each experience. She sought new opportunities, tackled her fears head-on, and shared her story with fellow aspiring actors, creating a supportive community where they could uplift one another. The warmth of Marilyn's encouragement echoed in her mind every time she faced adversity, pushing her to keep striving toward her dreams. Ultimately, that brief encounter with a Hollywood legend became the foundation of Grace's resilience. It instilled in her an unwavering belief in herself and ignited a passion for acting that burned brighter than ever before. As she continued her journey, Grace carried with her the powerful message that every setback is merely a setup for a comeback, and it is the spirit of perseverance that will lead to true fulfillment in pursuing one's dreams.